And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome Simon Gervais and Ryan Steck, double the trouble and twice the fun, here to give us the inside scoop on their brand new book, The Second Son. Ryan, what's this book about?
Well, we teamed up to write our first romantasy novel together. No, that's for sure a joke. Gosh, I really hope no one believed that. No, I mean, this was a really fun one to write, Sarah. So this book is all about Chase Burke, and he is the second son. That's not a spoiler. The title was a giveaway on purpose. Chase is sort of like the afterthought in his own family. He could never live up to the hype of his big brother, Michael. And where we meet up with him in this book, he basically is going through a lot of changes. He's lost his father, his brother, the golden boy, who's the athlete, the hero, everything, was just killed in the line of duty, and his mother has dementia. So Chase is dealing with an identity crisis and doesn't really know who he is or what he is. Financially, he's pretty set. So he fills his time working as a sommelier in a very fancy restaurant. And one night while there minding his own business, his lover, who happens to be a congresswoman, comes in to dine. And unbeknownst to her or Chase, there's been a plot in the making to execute her. And Chase thwarts this attack in the middle of all of it, but like does it in a way that's too effective for like your everyday guy hero, to the point where law enforcement is like, look, like you had to have known, because like you're not that guy, you're not that hero. And so rather than being treated like the guy who saves the day, he's questioned and becomes suspect number one. And the only way to clear his name is to find out what really is going on, and that opens a can of worms that he never expected, that leads to all kinds of family drama and secret powerful cabals. And before you know it, Chase is running for his life, trying to clear his name, trying to clear the name of his family, and stay one step ahead of all the twists and turns that await.
Well, we are here for the twists and turns, and I can't wait to get the inside scoop. First, I just want to welcome everyone, because we are broadcasting live to 10 different destinations across Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We've got it all. So welcome, mystery and thriller fans. No matter where you're watching from, you are in the right place. It is the right time. It is Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder. We're going to make it a little less painful and get your week off to a killer start. If you've been here before, you know the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Ryan about his writing practice. Ask Simon how the heck he handles writing with Ryan. Anything that's going on in your brain, get it going in the questions. I got them right over to us. Chris is joining us from YouTube. She says, hello from Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati in the house. Welcome, Chris. Sharon is joining us from YouTube saying, hey, everyone. John Hebert, welcome to the conversation. Joining us from Northeast Ohio. Okay, we're getting a lot of Ohio. What is going on over there? So good to have you all. So good to see you all. Okay, so questions were submitted in advance. I want to start with this one from New York Times bestselling author Danielle Trussoni, who just won the LA Times Book of the Year prize for her thriller, The Puzzle Box. And she wants to know exactly how this partnership works. How do you co-write? Simon, give us the scoop from your side.
First, let me tell you that every page in this manuscript has been touched by both of us. It doesn't really matter how we divide the work. At the end of the day, our objective is to entertain our readers. So usually let me tell you that first. When we submitted the book to our editors, I had lunch with them in New York, maybe a year and a half ago. And they told me, Simon, did you or Ryan wrote this book? We cannot know who wrote what. It's not your voice, but we've read Ryan's book, and I know it's not his either. So it's mission accomplished for us. I think it's the best of what I can do and the best of what Ryan can do. As for how we divide the work, first of all, we brainstorm together. And I think Ryan will agree with me. It's 50-50. Like we both participate equally in the book. We're going to brainstorm together. We're going to try to come up with the best story possible. And then we're going to work on an outline. And we're going to pitch it back and forth. And when we both decide that, we're ready to write, then we just jump on it. And, as I said, our objective is to write the best book possible. And what I liked about working with Ryan is that we we really push each other. So we're not afraid to actually edit each other. And we said there's no, everybody has veto on the other person. But honestly, we just finished book number 2 right now, The Mark Son, which will be available next November. And we never had an argument. We just push each other to keep the plot moving forward, trying to find big twists we're looking for that we think our readers will love. So it's been super easy. And I know Ryan always say that it's not everybody that can co-write with somebody and be very involved. But with Ryan, people ask me, rate it from 0 to 10. How was your collaborative effort with him? And every time I say it's a 10 out of 10. It's been a super pleasant experience. I'm talking about the 2 books.
Wow. Oh my God. 10 out of 10. Ryan, what do you rate Simon as? I mean, no pressure.
It's funny because no one asked me that. So like, it kind of worries me that he gets hit up with that question. Yeah, no, I mean, it's been a 10. It's been a 10. My favorite review that we've gotten so far is a 1 star. And I think this may be my biggest fan. He said he hated the book. All the parts that I wrote were terrible. And all the parts that Simon wrote were great. And here's how I know that's a lie. I don't even know for sure anymore which parts I wrote and which part Simon wrote. And I know he doesn't either. I couldn't even confidently tell you who picked the title. I would think it was me because my second son's name is Chase. Okay. And our hero's name is Chase Burke. But I'll be honest with you, Sarah, I'm not even sure I did. Like, I genuinely don't even remember who picked the title. Wow. So I know people can't tell who wrote what because we don't know who wrote what. In fact, there's been lines that we both like, and we both have congratulated the other one on nailing it. And like, I'm not, if Simon's like, you really crushed that one, I'm pretty sure he wrote it. And, like, that's what's so funny is I'm like, dude, I thought you wrote that. And so it's very collaborative. It doesn't sound like a Ryan Steck book or a Simon Gervais book. The goal was for it to take on a third voice, and I think it did.
Wow. Okay. So bring us back to the moment of inception. So first you come up with the idea. You said that. So getting back to Danielle's question, first you come up with the idea, then you outline. So bring us into the moment of inception where you came up with the idea for the second son. Were you like, okay, we have a book. Let's write a book together. What should we write about? And then you both sat and thought, like, how did this happen? Bring us into that moment. Yeah,
I can tell you because I was on your side of the conversation. Simon had a book out. I was interviewing him as a real book spy. By the way, we've known each other 10 years. I've covered every book he's ever written. Okay.
True.
And we were just catching up after the interview. And I was like, dude, I got this idea for this book and I pitched it. And then he liked it. And we were catching up on a Zoom call weeks later. And he said, hey, send me that thing. Like, I really liked it. We were talking and he said, do you mind if I make some changes? And I said, no, like, do your thing. And then he was like, man, I love this. And he sent it back to me and I opened it and I was like, I don't think he loved it because he changed like 90% of it. I don't know what he loved, but like everything changed. But this is why the relationship works. I looked at what he sent me and was like, oh, that is better than what I thought. For sure. It's better. And that has really worked both ways. There's been a lot of times we sit down for these conversations and it's like, hey, here's what I want to do. And the other one will go, oh, that's really solid. But what if we did this instead? And there's just no ego. Like, we can both pretty quickly look at who's got the better idea. And it doesn't matter if we use Simon's idea 10 times in a row or mine 10 times in a row. We don't keep score. It's like, hey, this is the best way to go. Let's do it. And here's how in sync we are. There's some really big twists and turns in this book, in this one right here, in the second son. Well, obviously we wanted to, top that with the next one.
Right.
We wrote the whole book and then got an idea for like a twist. I pitched it to Simon. I really had like 2 ideas. Like, it was like 2 different things I was thinking. And I sort of flipped a coin and was like, hey, what if we did this? And he looked at it and then came back like a week later. I remember I was driving and he called me and he was like concerned. Like, he was like, oh no, I have a whole different take on it. And I was, and I'm like, yeah, just hit me with it. And he starts to explain it. And I realized in like 20 seconds, it was my other idea. So I was like, dude, I'm going to stop you right there. You don't have to sell me. Don't pitch me. Like, that was my backup plan. Let's just do that.
And
Like that's how in sync we have been.
Did he say, "Stop lying, Ryan? Stop lying, Ryan. That's my idea."
It just made sense that you would have thought of it as well.
Okay.
I'm not sure if
Yeah.
we discussed that idea before or not, but for me, it was a big change at the end. It actually changed the end of the story. So I wanted to make sure that he was in sync with that. I didn't want to do that without him not knowing, because sometimes he could push back and actually up me up one more. But in the end, this is what he had in mind for a second idea. So I did it. He had the first one. I did this one, and he said, "Yeah, that's perfect. That's going to work."
Okay, Renee wants to know, did you ever disagree? If so, how do you decide who is correct? Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I have to believe that at some point Ryan was like, "I see Chase doing this," and Simon was like, "Chase would never do that. He would do this."
Well, that's the cool thing about it, because we're going to read each other and we can edit each other as well. So I'm going to change something on the spot. Like he's going to send me pages. I'm going to go through them. I'm going to make my changes. You read them and say, "Okay, perfect. Yeah, we're moving on." There's never been even one time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't remember even one time where we said we really need to talk about this because we disagree and both of us are sticking to our guns.
No. The closest we've ever been to that, I won't say what it was. There was something in the first book, a twist that I wanted to do. Yeah. And he didn't say no. It was just that the feedback, this is going to sound like I'm taking more credit than I deserve too, but I think the feedback from, it might have been the publisher and our agents, everyone was kind of like, I don't know if that'll work. And I really, really believed it would. Like I really fought for it. And in the end, it was Simon who was like, "Hey man, just write it and let's see." And so I'm so thankful that he did that, because we're writers. Like we don't get paid to talk. Like we get paid to write. So I went back to the lab and locked the world out and really thought, like, how would you execute this? And I wrote it and I gave it to him. And this is where the relationship is really good, because he looked at it and was like, "Oh, this totally works." Mm-hmm. And again, it's going to sound like I'm taking more credit than I deserve, but I think it was one of the things in the book that it is probably pretty memorable when you read this. And I know like our agents came back and were like, "Oh no, that does work." And for sure he made it better. It was an idea that, I put in there and Simon made it even better. And that's why this is so fun to work together.
Yeah. I can hear you.
I lost audio. I do see Southeast Florida, though.
Southeast, I'm saying thank you for the great question, Renee. And she says hello, and she is joining us from Southeast Florida. So great to have you here. Yeah, because I love knowing, I think we're all so curious. I've interviewed, I don't know how many interviews I've done of book teams, but I've done brothers, which are Lee Child and his brother, sisters, which is Liv Constantine, two husband and wives, two best friends from college, one male team, one female male team. And I'm always just so curious, and I think we all are, about how it actually works and how can you not disagree. And Lee was the one who said that actually he loved it because nobody else cared as much as his brother about things like word choice, and his wife was getting annoyed with him about whether, Jack Reacher strutted or walked or strided or ran or jogged or what. But his brother, Andrew, was like, I would like to discuss that word choice with you.
That's why.
So what was your favorite part of working?
I'm going to say this is why it's so important to choose your writing partner carefully. Maybe Ryan had other options or other people asking. I certainly had people wanted to co-write with me, and I've never agreed before, just because you need the perfect fit. You need somebody that's your equal, or is about the same level you are in your career. Somebody that you'll be able to divide the work 50-50. And I've talked to other authors that co-wrote with their friends, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. But they did only one book, and they decided not to. They find it too difficult. But for me, for now, like Ryan and I just submitted our the Mark's on the second book in this series. And our main objective is to get renewed for number 3 and 4. So we want to continue. We want to keep working together, writing for our fans, because we both love it so much.
Oh, well, I love that. And now you're working on book 2, you shared.
Yeah, we finished book 2. Book 2 is done. The number one goal right now is an extension. Like, we did an interview early in this process and someone called us a power couple. And well, that put the pressure on. Like, now we have to get a renewal and continue this power couple marriage. We have a lot more concepts and ideas we want to play with. What makes it so fun when you're writing a book by yourself, I can't tell you how many times I would submit something to a publisher, like an idea, and they would go, "Oh, Ryan, we love it. We can't wait to see how you get the characters out of this." And I would think to myself, like, yeah, me too. I hope I can get my characters out of this. But what's so cool is I can do that now. And everyone's like, wow, we can't wait to see how you get your characters out of this. And I can call Simon and go, dude, we got a problem. We got to get our characters out of this. And it's two brains working for the same shared goal, the same vision. And that means the stuff I don't think of, he's bringing to the table. And that's what makes it really collaborative and really fun.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes, that support is, I think, because writing is a solitary path. So, it's the support that sounds so appealing. And speaking of support, you can support our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore tonight, Murder by the Book, by ordering The Second Son. Oh, thanks for all the hearts on Facebook, you guys. By ordering The Second Son right now. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube or wherever you're watching from, I'm going to pop the link up so you can all order it and get your mitts on this collaboration between Ryan and Simon. So here is that link. I want to talk about that, about Ryan, as a book reviewer yourself. Does that impact your ability to write? Is there that little editor on your shoulder saying, this is a terrible sentence, or oh, that would never, I wouldn't like that as a reviewer or as a reader? How do you balance two sides of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I started writing books because as a critic, I would read things and I would think this book is so good. And then it would take a twist or a turn or a direction that I was like, this what would have been cooler. But, you don't have that control. And I just remember one day my agent said to me, if you just wrote the books, you wouldn't have this problem. And then I did. I went out and wrote my first book. Yeah, I think of it all the time. When the Book Spy really took off, we went from 0 to like 2 million readers a year within, I think, just over 24 months. I hear from readers all the time. And it's not always about my books, but like rarely is it about my books. It's always what they love, what they don't love. And so I think it would be impossible to turn that off. At the same time, I don't really go into it with like that feedback in the back of my head. Along the way, I'm thinking of the reader always. But again, this is why our partnership works so well, because Simon and I really, truly, like we've said it, but there's just no ego. Like, we come into this and it's like, I have an idea I'm excited about. If he brings something that's like better, that we collectively go, oh, readers are going to like that more, we just do that. So for sure, I can't turn off being a book spy. I will tell you, it's a lot harder to be on the author side. I think like the first 18 months I was an author, I said it like there was a question mark at the end. People would be like, Ryan, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I'm an author. It just, and then I would do interviews and I started asking them questions because I did 10 years as the person in your chair. And it's like, it was an adjustment for me for sure. And even now, when I got into writing, you don't realize like how vulnerable you are. You put your work out there, and you've spent forever on this book. And like my very first review ever on Goodreads was 1 star, and you're like, oh my gosh, this sucks. And you realize, that you're vulnerable when you put your stuff out there. At the same time, I'm friends with a lot of the authors I cover. And they're all jerks. They're actually really great guys.
Especially this guy.
But they're actually really great guys. But when I had to get my first endorsements, I would send out the book and I was like, hey, it was so awkward. I've covered their stuff for a decade. And I'm like, if you like it, send me a blurb. And there was nobody that just one person, CJ Box, Chuck Box, which was, he's my hero, my literary just hero. Like, I love my favorite living author, maybe my favorite author ever, him and Vince Flynn. He sent me one right away. But everybody else, it was like I would get a blurb, Sarah, and it was a joke, but I didn't know it. So it'd be like, hey, buddy, good try. Here's the blurb. And it'd be like, decent book. Don't buy it. Get it from the library.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And I would like freak out. And then like 20 seconds later, I'd get another email and it'd be like, LOL, just kidding. Here's the real blurb.
Oh my
Everybody
God.
did that to me. So everyone had jokes when I officially made the jump from books by to author. Thankfully, they don't do that as much anymore. So
now, Simon, what about your background? You obviously write. I want to talk about this in a second too. You obviously write books, in your on solo books, the Elias Network, the Elias Enigma, as well as the Clayton White and Pierce Hunt series. But as a former infantry officer and federal agent specializing in counterterrorism, do you have your former self or your other self sitting on your shoulder saying, oh, make sure you get that, exact scene right? Or are these two very separate parts of yourself that don't interact?
Yeah, it's a super good question because I think my former career helped me in two ways on the writing side. The first one, I would say probably the most important one, is to develop thick skin, right? I'm writing book 17 right now for me. And I've had probably over 100,000 reviews on Goodreads and Amazon. And not all of them are 4 or 5 stars, right? They, I have 1 star and 2 stars, like every other author. But do I care? I don't care emotionally. I care to provide a strong book and great entertainment to my readers. So I do care when I get a 1 or 2 stars review, but it doesn't hurt me personally. It just say, okay, I need to improve on this, maybe. If I get like 5 1-star that says the same thing, I'm going to work on this specific spot. But it doesn't emotionally disturb me to get bad reviews. It's part of the job. And as a cop, you had to develop a thick skin because truly you need to be able to take charge when you enter a room, and you need to stand strong and not, just be present. So for me, getting 1 or 2 stars review, it doesn't damage me. It's not like I'm going to step on a mine, I'm going to lose a leg, or I'm going to get shot going into a domestic dispute. So for me, all these things that sometimes other authors care so much about and are very sensible about, it doesn't affect me. So that part so I can actually concentrate on writing and not about the other stuff. So that helped me. The second thing is that, I do have that little federal agent sitting on my left shoulder, just because I want to stay true to all the former police officer and people that serve in the military. I try to keep my book as realistic as possible, especially when it comes to action scenes. Of course, it's a thriller. I'm going to take some liberties, but hopefully, in my book, you won't have somebody driving a motorcycle and shooting down a helicopter with a handgun. It's not going to happen. Right. And I try to keep the tactics on point as well. So I always have that little voice inside of my head, make sure that if you were in the field, something, you can do something like this,
I love that. Renee wants to know, how exactly did you guys decide to collaborate? So Ryan, you had reviewed all of Simon's books. You were a fan of his writing. Simon, obviously you knew Ryan as both the Real Book Spy and probably as an author. So how did this moment come to be? Well,
it's not our similar backgrounds. That part of the interviews always suck for me because like Simon and our mutual buddy David McCloskey, like they left no resume for the rest of us. Like for real, David McCloskey's resume is so ridiculous. It sounds like someone created a character for a thriller novel and tried too hard. Like it's so long. One time I brought him on and introduced him, and Simon too. We do interviews all the time, and they're like talking about his special forces background. And then they'll like with a straight face look at me and like, Ryan, were you special forces? And I'm like, oh yeah, come on. Like I don't have the body type for that. I would be a big target. There's no sneaking around. Like
buddy,
not at all. So it's not the backgrounds. Okay. It wasn't that. It was really that we developed a friendship because we're mutual friends of the same authors. We love the same types of books. We both love Vince Flynn. That's kind of how we first met.
Mm-hmm.
You want to jump in there?
Oh yeah, sorry. I just want to say I want to make sure I was not special forces, right? Like there's a little bit difference though. I serve in very special units, and the one that Ryan mentions probably is my last unit with the RCMP is a unit I didn't even know existed before I joined.
There's that line.
So I thought that was super cool, and I think he liked it. But just for respect for all the guys that are in Special Forces, I've never been Special Forces. I was a regular infantry officer. And then after that, I jumped to the RCMP. And for the American listeners, the RCMP is Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which is like the FBI, DA, ATF, Secret Service, all roll into one big organization here in Canada.
So just to clarify, Sarah, contrary to what you might suspect looking at us, shockingly, neither of us are technically ex-special forces. We should probably go on record with that. And then Simon's got that line. I laugh every time because he's like, I worked for, an agency I didn't know existed. I was like, yeah, dude, best I could say is I'm raising a kid I didn't know I was going to have. I have nothing to match that at all. Like nothing.
Oh my gosh. Well, crazily, I just met David McCloskey when I interviewed him at the Boston Book Festival. He was on the mystery panel, and he stepped into the interrogation room. And let's just say that David McCloskey did not step out in one piece the way that he came in, and that's all I'm going to say about that. You guys, I want to talk about this bit of praise. First Clue Reviews says, from the opening page to the last, this book is a relentless force of non-stop action and thrills. So let's talk about how you actually create those non-stop actions of thrills. When you are you've created the moment of inception, which you brought us into, then you start the work of plotting the book out. So are you looking at it and thinking, okay, we haven't had we need to be hitting these beats every X number of words or X number of chapters, or are you just sort of saying, oh, it's dragging a little bit here, we got to pick it up? How do you create a book that is, quote, a relentless force of nonstop action and thrills?
Because Simon makes us do an outline. That's the answer. I've never been like a chapter by chapter outliner. This is why there's always at the end like new twist ideas, by the way, because as we write it, and it's what's so fun about it, like really Sarah does, he's got his way of doing it, I've got my way, and this has just become like we just mash them together. And I always tell the story that my first publishing contract, I got to do a meet and greet with my publisher, and they said something about the outline for my second book, and I told them I didn't do outlines, and my agent looked like he was going to punch me through the Zoom call. And then we got off and he was like, he called me immediately and said, that was bold of you. You don't do outlines. And I was like, I give him this whole artistic answer. Like if I get bored with the outline, then I want to write the book and this and that. And he's like, yeah, so just an FYI, but you have a very large payment tied to submitting your outline. And I had no idea. So of course I'm like, oh, call him back. Tell him I was kidding. I love the outline. I'll do it tomorrow. And so I've had outline ever since, but I think my publishers are probably used to it now. And I love all the publishers that I've worked with, especially Tyndale, who does my own series. But like I think they just kind of know going into it, like, okay, this is sort of what we're going to do. This is his idea. But at some point, Ryan's going to take the training wheels off and this thing's going to probably start to go faster in a different direction. So we don't have to worry in the writing itself. Is it going to drag? Is there not enough twists? Simon's really thorough with his outlines. I found that out. And he is so good about like really holding my hand through that, because that's all new for me. I don't do that on my own in my own books, even since doing 2 books with him. But I will say it's like nice. It's like having a safety net. You never have to get worried that like you're 40,000 words in and you're like, oh my gosh, this didn't work at all. I got to start over. That's never happened, thankfully. So yeah, the very honest answer to that is Simon is a really thorough outliner, and that has probably saved us.
I did that because for me, it was a question of survival. At some point I had to write like 3 books in 18 months or 3 books in 2 years. And I just I wrote myself into a corner. The 40,000 word Ryan talked about happened to me. And I've lost months of work because I didn't know what to do. So after that, I decided, I actually came down when I wrote for the Robert Ludlum estate, the Blackbriar Genesis. Tom Colgan wanted to have an outline so he could send it to the estate and they will decide if they would hire me or not. And it was my real first outline. And Tom loved it so much. He said, you know what? I'm going to send it to my other authors because this is the way to do an outline. And it was my first one. I really took joy doing it. For me, it brings me so much joy. But at the same time, they're long to do. It takes as long to do a 15,000 words outline and then to work a 90,000 or 100,000 word book, because you put a lot of effort. You do most of your research, you develop your characters, you introduce a little bit of dialogue. All the twists and turns are there. Actually, when I work by myself, but then when I work with Ryan, it's like outline on coke type of, because he's gonna go off and do something else, and he's gonna come back to the outline. So this is what makes it great. The outline that we agree that we work together on it is going to make it even more powerful. So it's really, really cool.
Oh, well, I am loving getting this inside scoop. Last question. Did the second book take less time to write? How long did the first book take? Let's start with the first one, then go to the second one.
I don't remember. The second one did take less time because our deadline was tighter. So it inevitably took less time. Yeah, I mean, we've both been really, really blessed. We're writing this series together. And as a newly minted power couple, our goal is to get a renewal and continue doing that. But we each have our own, projects. And it's like when you have two actors that want to be in the same movie and you just need the schedules to line up. It's very much like that. So I'm working on things, and I will just say this: it's really nice that we're like our stuff is staggered, because if we get edits back, like if I'm busy with something, Simon will totally take that, and if he's busy with something, then I take it. So the second one took a lot less. I mean, it was faster, but the first one was fast too. I have to credit this chapter by chapter outline process that Simon has taught me. And by the way, I also wrote for Tom Colgan on an estate book, and I can confirm he does want people to outline very much like Simon Gervais, and I did not. So and Simon knows this. I wrote the Alex Hawke series for Tom Colgan at Penguin, and he's got a whole spiel outline like Simon, and don't write this like the author you're replacing, write it in your own voice and all that stuff. And I decided I wasn't going to do that. And I wrote in Ted Bell's voice and wrote my first Alex Hawke novel that way, turned it in, and got a phone call from Tom like 90 seconds later that he said to me, "Did you write this in Ted's voice after I told you not to?" And I said, "Yes, but Bertie Bell knew, so we're good, right?" And he was like, "It better be good." And then thankfully he liked it, so we were all good. But I think as we learn each other's style and how to work with each other, there's never really been an issue. I don't think we're suddenly going to start bringing ego into it. I think that's why we work so well together. So hopefully we're renewed here for 3 and 4, and we'll write those even faster.
Simon, how many books do you see this being? Are you going to be a K. Scarpetta 29, 30? Are you seeing it as 3 or 4? What's your vision for the series?
I'd be happy with 3 or 4. I've been with Thomas and Mercer since 2019, and for me, they've been the greatest ever. I've been working with Liz Pearson since the very beginning. My entire team of publisher is there, and so far they wanted me to do 3 books. And of course, at the beginning when I started, I was like, I want to be, I want to do like the excellent Brad Thor, for example, or Daniel Silva, or Vince Flynn, Brad Taylor, Mark Greaney. I wanted to be like those guys and have long series. But for me, it didn't work out. They say, no, like the data shows that for you, a trilogy is going to do better. And in the end, we're right again. They were always right about everything. And the good thing about it is it gives me more pieces of IP, right? So I have different things in Hollywood right now. If I had only one big series, you can sell it only once. But now I have 3, and I have Ryan and I are sharing a fourth one. So
and all of yours have been optioned, Simon.
Yeah,
so congratulations
exactly.
on that.
So it's super exciting, and they were right. So if they tell us, you know what, we think 4 book would be great for this series, and we want you to work on something else, we're happy to do that. They say write 3 and start with another one, or write a standalone. We will do that because they know their market. Our job is to provide good books to our readers, to make sure that they don't waste their time when they're buying our books. So we will listen to the data. We will listen to the bosses. We're writers, so we're going to write whatever they want us to do. But at least 3, I would say, for this series. I'd be really happy.
I'll just say we have a lot of other ideas too. So, if we get to wrap up things with Chase Burke, there's some other stuff I'm excited to potentially explore together. So we've for sure had that conversation too.
Robin is asking if she hears an accent with Simon, and we have a French accent in the house, Robin, and I know you're joining us from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and my French is terrible, so I will leave it.
His name is not even Simon. I found that out in the weirdest way possible. Just so you know, Sarah, we were on a Zoom call with our agents, and it was mind blowing every step of the way. Like the first moment was his agent's like, we're just waiting on Simone, and I'm like, who is Simone, and why are they coming to this Zoom call today? And then Simon pops on, but it definitely had another name. And so now I'm like, dude's got 3 names. I didn't even know this. And then he said, look, my daughter borrowed my laptop for something. I assure you this is really me. And that's when I found out that he has a very French way of saying his name, and we just say it the very American way.
So it's Simon. It's Simon because je suis français. Alors c'est Simon, Simon, S-I-M-O-N. There's no E. And most of my Anglophone friend will say Simone because it seems that you're not able to stop at mon, but it's Simon. But it doesn't matter. Yes, yeah,
okay. Simon. Voilà. We can get it. So Simon Gervais.
Yes. My God, you're very, very good. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Merci beaucoup. No, my French is terrible. The RL, the parle is hard. But I do what I can. I speak Russian, so that maybe that's helping.
Interesting. I'm not sure.
All right, we are out of time. Time flies when you're having this much fun. And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in on this Mystery Monday. Y'all, don't forget to order, support woman-owned, independent murder. Buy the book and get your mitts on The Second Son. See if you can tell which sentence Simon wrote and which sentence Ryan wrote. We will circle back and let us know what you think. Meanwhile, we'll be getting ready for book number 2. Thank you so much, Simon and Ryan, for joining us for Mystery Monday and getting our week off to a killer start. And I hope you'll come back and visit us for book number 2. Oh, Megan, thank you so much, saying an awesome interview. Megan, so good to have you as always. All right, y'all, that is a wrap on a very happy Hanukkah to all who celebrate. May light triumph over darkness. Chris, say, one more thing. Your personalities are priceless, are priceless, and I'm sure that so adds to your writing together. I know I'm feeling a certain je ne sais quoi, right, Chris? You're picking up on it too. There's a lot of energy between this power couple, and we are here for it. All right, y'all, that is a wrap. We will see you soon. May the pages and the days fly by.